WF representing Palace, so let's tell you about Palace. Rolling straight to the ceiling, crowns and crystals, top flight journeys, dishing out malice. Hold up, South London's grandest, far from bandits. Anything earned for a goal of elevation, just passing the team over here might finish out bright future, we can't vanish. SE25 any day, that's sellers. Rev up the engines, no more reverse reactions, fan cams, bands on stream. Share up the team, support the dream team when Eagles fly, make noise and scheme. Dare to dream or dream to dare, taking a step to become supreme.
Oh, yes, guys, welcome back to Eagle-Eyed Football. I think my video froze a few times.
Yeah, so no, mine did that as well because I was like that lingered at the end there just a little bit.
Yeah, it was lingering a little bit, but I think I know why. Yes, guys, welcome back to Eagle-Eyed Football and welcome back to another episode of TACT-EAGLE, where we're going to look at Manchester City away at the Etihad. And I tell you why I think that it froze, because I went onto YouTube and I changed the title ever so slightly. So you put in brackets H for the home game. I just changed it to an A. Because
okay, fair enough.
So that might be why. Maybe YouTube was doing a madness. But, you know, it is what it is. It lagged for like 4 seconds. It's not the end of the world. But, Dan, how's it going?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm excited for this game. I think it's going to be. I feel like it's going to be a bit of a weird game.
Are you going?
No, and actually, that is. I was going to maybe. I feel like it's more of a preview kind of moan. But one thing I am going to moan about Palace at the moment. It's a bit in tune with the phases that they've released today on the FA Cup, I guess. So we took the usual, like, I don't know how much it is. I don't know if it's half or 3/4 or 2/3 or whatever. But we taken a lower allocation, right? JC, do you know when we sold that out?
Last week?
No, we sold it out a month ago. Right? And they decided not to take the top tier.
Oh, so we had like loads of time to go back.
Yeah.
And
there's literally in the top tier, there's two big blocks, right?
Yeah.
And we plumped not to take them, even though we sold the half allocation or whatever it is. I don't know if it's half or 2/3, whatever. We sold it out like in a month ago. So I don't get why they've done that. But I'm looking forward to this game. It's going to be a bit of a weird game. Obviously, everyone's mind is more focused on the FA Cup and obviously the fact that we battered Brighton again.
Well, so there's more than enough time to allocate another block and.
Yeah, exactly. Like, because I remember looking on Ticketmaster, and at that point you could see, you know when you have it, but it's like grayed out. Like you can see the seats, but they're grayed out. When I then looked at it like just a couple of weeks later, just to see what was going on, it was just completely blank, like as if like when they're not even looking to sell the block at all. So it's a bit, I don't know. I think it's a bit of a weird one why they wouldn't just go for it, because I feel like there are quite a lot of people who wanted tickets for that game as well. So I think that's a bit of a weird one from the club, to be honest. But
and I know, like you said, it is a bit more of a preview thing, but I don't quite understand why they did the Wembley tickets like how they did it. I have seen, I think Chairman told me about it when he was on the phone. He said that he saw someone on Twitter complaining, saying, how comes I'm paying for a normal season ticket, which is about £600, but someone that can buy a membership for £50 can get in at the same time I can? It doesn't make any sense. And to be fair, I don't think he's wrong.
No, I agree. And I mean, I'm also saying, I agree. And I'm saying that as someone who had a season ticket plus. I only got a season ticket plus just so I think I could watch like a couple of the under 21 games. That's all I got it for.
I only did it because it gives you extra points.
yeah, exactly. And I thought, because I was going to get Palace TV anyway, so I thought, for the extra 25 quid or whatever it is, I was like, for 250 points or whatever it is, I might as well just do that. And yeah, they just, I don't agree. I don't agree with it, because I think I think the way they done it for the last semi-final, I think was fair. I don't think anyone even moaned about that. I think the way they did it for the last one would have made more sense, to be honest. But here we are.
Anyway,
but anyways, how are you doing?
I'm good. Even though I still go to work in the half terms, it's a lot more pleasant with no staff there.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
So still getting a lot of stuff done, but it's a lot more pleasant. And with not that many people there, you may or may not be able to sneak out a little bit early. It's good. But without any further ado, let's go and let's start off this episode of TACT-EAGLE. And guess what we haven't done? I haven't prepared myself for what videos are to play. So it's going to go badly. Let's hope for the best. Hoping for the best definitely worked. So, TACT-EAGLE, what do we normally do, Dan, before we even talk about predicted 11s?
We talk about the injuries.
That is right. Let's go through it. The usuals. Chadi Riyad out until 2026. Chet Decore out until the end of the season in June. Eddie Nketiah and Mark Gay are both suspended for this game, so they are not able to play, but they will be back for the following game after Manchester City. Chris Richards is a potential. I think he wasn't a part of the open training today, which is quite interesting. So he wasn't there, nor was Mark, and actually, nor was Maxence Lacroix. On PremierInjuries.com, it says he has a concussion with no return date. I'm sure that he'll be fine. I'm sure that he just took a rest day for the open training session. But it is, with these injuries, suspensions, it could mean that our backline could be very, very interesting in this game.
And actually, I did have a quick Google of what, if there was any, because I know there was talk about concussion protocols and stuff like that. So obviously he was taken off as a concussion injury. I've not found anything conclusive that says if this player is substituted for a concussion injury, they miss the next game or anything like that. It seems to be like a gradual sort of like a program that is sort of kind of is reinstated. So, and one of those things, and this must be why he didn't take part in training, was that they have to avoid physical activity for 48 hours after it happening. So that'll be why he didn't train yesterday or Sunday or whenever it was.
Okay, so that's all from the Palace side. If you go to the Manchester City side, you see Rodri out till May, Nathan Ake out until May, Erling Haaland out until May, John Stones out until May, and Akanji is also out until May.
Ooh.
So they've got a lot of people out till the end of the season or last few games of the season. Funny enough, I had a look, and most of their return day is the week of the FA Cup final if they do get to it, which is quite ironic if you ask me. But let's move on and talk about the predicted lineups. So here's what I've gone with. I've gone with Hendo in goal with Mitchell, Lerma on the left centre-back, Lacroix, Richards and Munoz to finish it out. I have gone with Wharton and Hughes in the middle with Ebbs, Sarr and Mateta up top. Dan, what are we thinking?
Yeah, I went exactly the same thing.
Lerma in the same position?
Yes, yeah. I think that's actually where, I'm pretty sure that's actually where he played last season when he played under Glasgow. I'm pretty sure he played on the left hand side. Oh yeah, he must have, because Gay was injured for pretty much all of his tenure, wasn't it?
If I remember off the top of my head, he played the Bournemouth game there.
Yeah.
Which we only conceded when Glasgow moved him up and then Ozo back there, which was a bit of a strange decision to do anyway. And also, one thing I did have a look at is, in the Liverpool game where we beat them 1-0 away, he played left centre-back and he actually got man of the match.
Did he?
Yeah.
Wow, he got the man of the match. Fair play.
He did.
Fair play. I think I think he does work in that side. I think not specifically that side, but I think he works here just because I think aerially, I think he's probably one of the best players in the team, and also I think defensively he is still solid.
Yeah.
But obviously he still has the attributes of a midfielder, so he's still progressive, still able to pass and receive the ball and stuff.
I mean, I was thinking it more along the lines of, if you look at Lerma and you say he's brilliant at everything, but his passing's what lets him down a little bit in the midfield. But as a centre back, he doesn't really need to think about being the one to produce that line breaking pass. That's not his game. So you're literally taking out the one part of his game which is probably weaker than the rest. But you know, just saying, look, your best attribute is defending and heading. You can do that all game. You don't need to think about passing. If you want to go forwards, give it to Wharton and he'll do the rest. So him at centre backs, like, it's amazing, really. And I think we should put him on a new contract just for the fact that he's so versatile.
Yeah.
And we've had this situation like 3 times in 3 years where he's had to play centre back.
Yeah,
invaluable, and we did miss it immensely when we let Kouyaté go. Obviously, he didn't want to sign that 1-year extension when we had that really stupid policy of over 30-year-olds. But the season after, we had injuries to centre backs. Kouyaté played centre back. We needed someone to sit next to Chet Decore, and we just didn't have anyone there. So, I hope we don't make that same mistake again with Jefferson Lerma.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as well, when you are a squad that isn't, as it doesn't have the depth like our squad, I think that versatility is really, really, really important. And also as well, I think in play sometimes I find that whenever Lerma plays it in that left-hand role, I find that he sometimes in build-up he pulls out to where into the back line just to try and I think get the numbers a bit more. But one question I've got for you, JC, then, since I know we started talking about the injuries, what would you do if Lacroix and Richards couldn't play?
I would go to Manchester City and I would say forfeit 3-0. Thank you very much. If you were to do that, that's an interesting question.
So would you play? Because I think the only way I think you could really.
So you're telling me all 3 of our centre backs are injured?
Yes.
Okay, Lerma's definitely one of them. I think that if you're going just off of first teamers, there's probably a shout for Chilwell because he has played centre back for Chelsea a few times and for Leicester. So I'll probably put him on the left centre back. I don't think Mitchell's good enough in the air to play centre back. If you guys are wondering, I obviously I don't think Chilwell's much better, but I think Chilwell's done it. He's done it before, whereas Mitchell, I think he's done it once and we got beat 5-0 by Manchester City, funny enough. My heart wants to put Ward in here like this, but that just to me that feels like trenches. So I would most likely put.
I'll put one of the kids in there.
I think so.
Okay, that's interesting.
But I think if you're gonna go like that, you'll probably go
Ward or Klein, really, aren't you?
Yeah, I'd go Wardy because I think Klein
I feel like this kind of game as well.
You need a little bit of pace, I think, at the back.
I think as well, like if you're playing, I think if you're playing Ward, maybe corrals the back line a bit better as well than Klein.
Or maybe you do it that way around then.
Yeah,
because he's a bit more of a leader at the back, maybe.
Because you do wonder whether it could be like without sounding too tactical here, whether it'll be like a pseudo kind of 4 at the back, 5 at the back sort of thing, with Lerma going into midfield.
Oh, what, like
so
that, kinda.
No, more like so if Mitchell stayed back, and then sorry,
but that would work if Lerma and Ward were the other way around.
No, sorry. What I meant was I kind of messed it up, but like what I meant was as in you'd have the back 4 of Mitchell, Chilwell, Ward, and Munoz, and Lerma would step into midfield. That's what I meant, but it's to be honest, that they probably would do something similar in possession anyway. But when they're not in possession, then yeah, it would be a back 5.
To be fair, we normally press like this anyway.
Yeah. To cover the double pivot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, it's an interesting thought experiment, but not one I necessarily really want to think about too much.
Yeah, let's take a trip back to reality real quick.
I mean, to be honest,
Streets are saying there goes gravity, but you know.
All right,
I'm sorry. I shall stop.
No comment.
On to Man City. They have got a lot of injuries, and it's a weird one because without Haaland, they sort of revert to how they played the season that they got. I think they won. I think they reverted to the season where they won the Premier League without a striker. Yes, they had Jesus, but they played him off the left, and they've sort of reverted a little bit back to that again. And I think the main reason for doing that is because you've got Omar Marmoush, who I think is an outstanding footballer. Where he's a finisher, he can do everything really. But by doing that, they do play in theory it's a 4-2-4. Or if you want to be a tactical, it's 4-2-2-2-2-2-2-2-2-2.
2-2s now.
2-2s now. 4-2-2-2-2-2-2-2. So I've gone with that formation at the moment, but they do play 2 different formations without Haaland, and it depends on the team they play against. So they played the 2-2-2-2-2 against Manchester United, and they played a 4-2-3-1 against Leicester City. But I'm gonna talk about both of those a little bit more later when I actually talk about how they attack. But I have gone with this team, so I've gone O'Reilly on the left with Gvardiol, Diaz, and Núñez finishing out the back line, with Kovacic and Gundogan in the middle, with Silva and Foden, De Bruyne, and Marmoush up top. What's interesting about this front 4 is that genuinely all of them could play
all over the place
in each position, so they could all start in all of these positions and they wouldn't look out of place.
Mm-hmm.
Dan, are you in agreement, or do you think that they would play the 4-2-3-1? Should I put the 4-2-3-1 on there just to make it easier for you?
4-2-3-1. Just trying to think how that would work.
It'd look like that.
Oh right, I see. I can see the benefit, because I think Doku would have maybe some joy on the left-hand side potentially. Again, it really depends who's in our back line. So obviously, if our back line's a bit weaker, then yeah, maybe you could say that. Well, it's hard to say really. They've got a number of different ways of playing, I think. And also, I kind of feel like Pep's kind of in a transition sort of phase at the moment. Mm-hmm. Obviously, transitioning from his divorce, but also transitioning in his tactics.
I still believe that his wife was the real tactico here.
I think she was. Because
the second she left, he's lost the plot.
He's lost Fraudiola.
She was the one keeping all his players not injured. That's all I'm saying. What was she doing? Special massage. Mr. Miyagi, he has the thing.
Well, wax on, wax off.
No, not Mr. Miyagi. The fake Karate Kid, the one with Jackie Chan, where he had like the magic sponge. He just healed his broken leg.
I haven't seen that in a long time.
I tell you what, though, the new Karate Kid looks really good because you sort of have they bring Daniel-san back to teach the new guy. It looks really good, actually.
Okay, so I watched the one with Jaden Smith, and I actually thought that was all right. That remake, I thought that was all right.
That's what I'm talking about. Wait, at the end, he's got a magic sponge. He just fixes his broken leg.
Oh, God, it was a long time ago. I watched it. I remember it being decent, but it was a long time ago.
Yeah, but yeah, are we going to stick with the 4-2-3-1 or 4-2-2-2-2?
Yeah, I think that's fine.
All right, cool. Let's go through some comments. Big up everyone for tuning in. Big up Animal. Big up Chairman. Big up Football BAUO says, is Cunha to Palace happening? I haven't heard this. This is not happening.
And we are not in the nose. Sorry, guys.
No. In nose, that's where air goes, so you can survive. But I swear this guy said he wants to play Champions League football. And he's
coming to the right place. No, we're
best we can get Europa League.
I know we're a long way off it, but out of interest, 10 points with 8 games to go. Yeah, that's not happening.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that he's kicked up a fuss at Wolves. Says he wants to play Champions League football. 1, it'll cost too much. 2, he ain't coming Palace. He'll go somewhere else.
No, apparently, I think
going elsewhere.
Yeah, I think the rumours I saw was Nottingham Forest, and I think Man United also as well. But I mean, they're not going to have.
In a few groups,
let's say win the Europa League, of course. But
I mean, a few group chats that I'm in are full of Arsenal fans saying that they should have a go, see what they can do with him. They need a striker, but Big Animal battered Brighton again, like you know what, and chips. Chaddy out until 26. Damn. Big up Rich.
Yeah. Big up Rich.
At one point, Matt's spaced out on the floor, but he was off the pitch. He looked fine, wanted to come back on. Well, he sprinted straight back on the pitch full time and before full time. Sure, Max will be okay. Rich is what we're hoping for.
Yeah.
Lone was outstanding versus Liverpool. If I pull out the back line, it gets too rough, to be fair. It would be Ward, Lerma, Klein. I wouldn't put Klein back in centre back again. I think he had a good run with Anderson next to him, but without Anderson, I think that because the Qua's passing isn't as good as Anderson's long ball could just get Klein out of a lot of trouble. But Animal agrees with the back line that we created. Should play Ward as centre back. Love Ward. He has cement feet now. He's got no pace. To be fair, he wasn't the fastest guy in the world. 1-0 Arsenal in the Champions League against Real Madrid. And Rich is laughing at this. Is it
Declan Rice?
Inter beating Bayern. Oh no.
Yeah, I saw that. Well, I mean, that's what happens when you got Vincent Kompany as your manager, but, we'll ignore that.
Yeah. How on earth he got Burnley relegated after spending 200 million quid and then got a Bayern Munich move? I will never know.
No.
But let's go into how I believe that Manchester City will attack without Erling Haaland. Let's hope this is the right one. So, I have cooked. So, let's do a quick run through of how they play with Erling Haaland, so we can see the differences. So let's go keep them in there. 4-2-3-1. Let's put our players into position. Okay. In this, let's just pretend that Omar Marmoush is now 6'4", blonde with a ponytail. Can you do that?
Yeah, got there.
All right, cool. If you can't, we'll AI a picture of it, just like we did with the Michael Olise photo, just for you, mate. So, quick one. Because Haaland is very imposing in the box, they like to stretch the play and play out wide. create overloads out wide with the attacking midfielder and the other midfielder, so they can create a 3v2 or a 3v3 out the way, basically. And then what they want to do is they want to have interplay to then have someone running behind into the space and then pull the ball back either in the air or on the floor for Haaland to, in a sense, tap it home. And that's what most of his goals have been for City, because they've just created the goal so well that all he has to do is steer it towards goal. And what this means with Haaland is that when they play, they do like to push the ball very wide. So they do like to run in these channels, keep these channels open, put passes in behind in these kind of areas to then run onto, and then do some interplay to then get it in the box to then shoot. That's basically what they do. In the air, on the floor, keep it out wide, keep it moving fast. That's how they want to play with Erling Haaland. However, without Haaland, going to Marmoush reminds me a hell of a lot of Alvarez. I still am a firm believer that selling Alvarez was a horrible, horrible mistake from Man City's part. Bearing in mind that they sold Alvarez for like 80 million and then they bought in Marmoush for 80 million. Yes, Marmoush is an incredible footballer, but he's nowhere near Alvarez, in my opinion. I don't know whether you agree with that, Dan.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough.
So they basically downgraded on Alvarez and stayed even with the money, so it doesn't make much sense. But what you do get with Marmoush is that person that's a little bit different. He is a striker, but his main thing is being a second striker. So he really wants to be where De Bruyne is. He would rather it be here because he's a very good facilitator of other people. And at Frankfurt, the reason why he was so deadly there is because he was playing with another striker by the name of, I know you can't say his name.
Wait, who? What? Sorry.
He was a strike partner at Frankfurt this season when he was scoring loads of goals. We were linked to him.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh,
Hugo
Ekitike.
Oh, yeah, of course. Oh, yeah.
He was playing.
Ekitike.
Yeah, so you couldn't pronounce his name, so that's why I was trying to throw you under the bus there. But he was playing up front with Hugo Ekitike, and basically what would happen is they would start up front together, but Marmoush would drop in, collect the ball from the midfielder, and the place where he dropped from, Ekitike would run the channel, and then Marmoush would be very good in picking up the ball on the half term and then slotting the ball down the wing or straight through the middle and then allowing him to score, which is why he got so many goals and so many assists. And also the fact that when he passed that ball, he'd instantly run on, and then, you'd have a situation here where they just pass across goal and he'd score it himself. So he's a very versatile forward where he can score the goals, but he can also facilitate the goals as well. However, that does get taken out of his game ever so slightly with Manchester City because they're going to pick Kevin De Bruyne to be that facilitator over him every single time. And to be fair, I think from De Bruyne's record and how he has been, I completely understand that. The reason why I think that the 4-2-3-1 that we've got here is a little bit more dangerous, in my opinion, is because I think they've got better players to do it. So with this formation, they can play extremely similarly to with Haaland, but instead of passes out wide, Foden would look to pass inside here. So instead of with Haaland, he'd be looking at the back post down here. You'd have the wing back and the winger coming up here, and you'd be fizzing the ball into this kind of area. What will be happening is Marmoush would run the close channel, and then you'd have the winger coming in on that other channel here. And then Foden's got the choice of going here to Marmoush or maybe going here into De Bruyne and then set it off to Doku. So they've got a lot more options here. But the main thing is instead of going out here, they're running in here. They're running towards the goal. And to be fair, no matter what team you're playing against, if the opposition are running towards your goal, they're going to be a bigger threat than if they're going out wide. And to be fair, I think that's why Haaland's scoring record, apart from him not hitting the target most of the time. That's probably why his insane scoring has slowed down as much as it has done since his first season. I think people have realized, look, they're going to create tap-ins for him. So what we want to do is we want to defend in such a low block that he's got no room to run in behind, and that when he does go up for the ball, we've got at least 2 centre-backs on him every time, which is why I think that he's slowed down a little bit. But I don't understand why Guardiola won't use him similarly to how Dortmund used him, because he's very, very fast. Like if another team plays a high line, you want him to run in behind because he's good at doing that. But City are not that kind of team. They want to give him tap-ins, and I guarantee he's not complaining about that.
Yeah.
But he's got a lot more to his game. But the reason why I think that this formation would be a lot more problematic for us is because Marmoush and De Bruyne are going to have a lot more options inside the danger areas than they would if they were, going down the outside. Also, with a lot more players in the middle here, it allows them to defend their central area a lot better. So with the 2-2-2, they're going to be like this. And basically, in our game, it's going to be 2v2 in the midfield. Whereas if they've got here, they're going to have 3, or depending on how tucked in these guys are, it could be a 5 versus 2 in their favour in the midfield. So even when they're pressing and when they're defending, that'll probably be a lot better for them just to stay compact. But the reason why I think the 4-2-2-2 could be actually quite good for them as well, because they want to play into feet so well, Marmoush can almost recreate what he's been doing with Ekitike at Frankfurt. He could come short, pick up the space in the middle here to create an overload for them. De Bruyne could run into the space, whether it's De Bruyne, if it's Foden, if it's Doku, if it's Grealish, whoever it is. Whoever the partners are, because they can all play in each position, it's going to be a hard time for Lacroix, Lerma, Richards to track it, because Marmoush is going to be dropping into this pocket and passing off to runners all game. That's going to be the main thing for me. So how to defend against it, I wouldn't say it's very simple, because Marmoush is a good enough player to, get that pass off on the first touch. But when Marmoush drops, we're going to have to commit Lacroix all the way in and be very aggressive there to not give him the time to turn and do whatever he needs to do. Granted, if Marmoush could do a nice little dummy and then go around Lacroix, I'd do back Lacroix to have enough pace to get back again. But the fact that they're going so narrow now, it stops teams from having that little bit of breathing room that you normally have against Man City. So in a funny way, I think without Erling Haaland, I do think that they are that little bit more dangerous, because it allows the other players to express themselves. Like how many times have we seen it with Portugal? The second that Cristiano Ronaldo is not in that team, they actually look like a better team again.
Yeah.
The takeaway for me is when defending, try and shut down Marmoush and De Bruyne to not allow them to facilitate the passes in behind. And if you are going to do it, you need to, I wouldn't say wipe them out, but you need to make it almost impossible for them to take a touch and then turn, and be very, very narrow. Don't allow them the space in the half space to run into. And I think probably the last thing I'd say is I think Hendo might have to be very quick off his line in this game. He's done it really well in the last few games, but in this game particularly, I do think that tracking the late runners into the box, tracking late runners into the box as well. That's how they scored 2 goals against Leicester. So main takeaway from that, Hughes, Wharton, track your runners in. You don't normally do it, but you need to in this game. Other than that, I think that's all good for how Man City attack without Erling Haaland.
Nice. So would you say overall, like generally, would you say they're more direct without Erling Haaland or not? If there's like more runners than that, is that as a result of them kind of going from deeper? Like, are they more direct? Or
when you say direct, do you mean direct to the striker or direct to the goal? Because I mean that's 2 different things completely. Because if you're talking about direct to the striker, no, they're way more direct to Erling Haaland when he's on the pitch, because they just want to give it to him and then he can pass it off to someone else, and then he can just beeline it straight to the goal. So
Mhm.
if they want to say about going straight to the striker, 100%. But without Erling Haaland, towards the goal and trying to make goal scoring opportunities, the intensity is so much higher without him on the pitch, because you don't have that clunky guy on the ball to, I guess, slow down the speed of it. Because all of the attacks that lead up to Erling Haaland goal, 9 times out of 10, Erling Haaland's not involved in the build up at all.
Mhm.
Whereas if you haven't got Haaland and you've got Marmoush, 9 times out of 10, Marmoush is probably the pre-assist to the assist.
Yeah.
So the team just seems to flow a lot better. I think that's probably the best way to describe it. The flow of Man City is better without Erling Haaland, but you're probably more dangerous with him.
Yeah, that was an observation that I thought as well. That as a general team, they do seem like more direct and a lot more fluid, and I think that's going to play into the defense a little bit as well. But yeah,
Arsenal are 3-0 up.
I know they scored. I saw the Mikel Merino scored.
Damn.
Wow. Well, it's a boring tie now, but not for the reasons I initially thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I wish it was the other way around.
Wow, fair play. Fair play.
Mate, if they knock him out, crazy.
I mean, for me, I would say Real Madrid were probably my favourites going into this round, or they're more.
I need
or
Bayern Munich.
PSG.
I need Bayern Munich to lock in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need we need Villa to get to the semi, so then they got their semi-final on either side of the FA Cup semi. So
a few more comments before we go into the defence. Madrid aren't so great. They got beat by Valencia at the weekend, who've been in a relegation fight all season. Big up Damo. Firstly, trying to watch the Manchester derby. That was the deadest game I've watched in a while.
That was an awful game.
Arsenal dominating this game. Real Madrid have had 2 goal line clearances as well. Animal here saying Guru Sassi. Are Dortmund playing? No, they're playing tomorrow.
No, that was in the striker that you asked me who Marmoush used to play with.
Oh no,
Guirassy was at
Stuttgart.
Yeah, he was at Stuttgart, and now he's at Dortmund, isn't he?
Rice has scored 2 free kicks, 2-0. Rice 3-0, and big up Brush.
Big up Brush.
Saying smash that like button. Cool. Let's go into defense.
So, how do Man City defend? The answer is they don't. I'm joking.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. I don't have a lot. I mean, to be honest, like how many times have we covered Pep City? It's got to be 5, 6, 7 times. It's got to be at least by now. So I think we all know what to expect. But one thing. So I thought, because obviously, you know, the whole thing this season is that they're not able to defend transitions and blah blah blah. And I mean, the answer is still they can't. But I think they do. They are. I think Pep is slightly changing things up a little bit, at least in the games that I saw. So I watched. Well, I say I rewatched the Manchester derby. I didn't watch it to begin with. But wow, I rewatched it. My God, what a terrible game of football that was. But anyways, just a couple of little stats to start you. They're actually 9th in the league for their expected goals against. 9th. That's pretty poor for a City side. And they have the worst expected goals against per shot. So basically, and that's whilst only conceding the 3rd fewest amount of shots. So basically, they don't concede many shots, but on average, when they do, they're normally good chances. Now, one thing I did notice, right? Should I share this tab? Yeah, let's share this tab. That's worked, yeah. So I don't know if you guys can see it. So if you see this column here, right? you'll notice around the time when they were conceding loads of goals, right? When these are wins for the opponents, by the way. So the results are backwards. This is FB Ref, and you can see on average in this game, 0.18 per shot, 0.2, 0.23, 0. Blah blah blah. Basically, really high, right? And continuing to be high, even down to here, high, 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 high. But then, it seems, apart from the Brighton game, since the Forest game, they seem to have perhaps done something that suggests that maybe they're kind of stopping these transitions. I know they played Leicester, they're terrible. But even against United, who I don't think are playing that terrible recently, they've still managed to keep that expected goals against per shot down. So how do I think they are doing this? Firstly, let's think about how they actually play. So when they defend, I've noticed that they do press, but not so aggressively. Like I think when they do it, it seems to be that they have very particular press triggers. So it seemed to be that, for example, I don't know, when they had the ball here and they crept up, if you pass the ball back, then that would be a press trigger for the players to step up. And then if the out ball was, say, to Daniel Munoz or even, let's say, to Tyron Mitchell, the fullback would then come and cover. Now, I'm sure you can already see a problem with this if you're Man City, because all it takes is for you to, let's say, by the time that player comes out, right, all you've got to do is make one pass there, then make another run, and then you've got all of this space to run into. And when you are City, and I think one of the big things to also remember about City is that they are going through a period where, their players have won everything. They've won the treble. They've won 4 Premier Leagues in a row, for the first team to ever do that in England. They've won everything, basically. So, and also some of them are getting on a bit as well. Like you look at that midfield, Kovacic isn't young. Gundogan certainly isn't young. De Bruyne isn't young. Silva isn't young. Okay, O'Reilly's new. But, these players, that my point is that even if they are trying to press, it's not, these presses aren't as vigorous as maybe they were however many years ago. Now, one thing I did notice is that I feel it seemed like they always basically, if you won the ball in this area, so let's say that they're doing their attack right, so they've pushed all these players up here, whichever way they do it. It seemed to me, right, that these 3 players here always seem to be very isolated, because it seemed to be either like a 2-2 or a 3-1, and that rest defense isn't particularly, like I said, it's not very defensive. is the best way of me saying.
Dan's words of wisdom.
The
defense isn't very defensive.
No. And let's say you do win the ball here, like Adam Wharton's won it in a low block, right? Like I said, firstly, remember what I said. These players are getting on, so don't expect them to be rushing back. You win the ball there, let's say, and potentially all you've got is one pass, and then as soon as
got a load of space.
Yeah, exactly. And then you're running towards them, they're running back, and they're in squeaky bum time. And especially if you do have someone like Sarr, who obviously is quick. If you do have someone like him running at these players, I mean, don't get me wrong, Guardiola, Diaz are 2 very decent 1v1 defenders, but you're going to back someone like that there, and especially someone like Munoz, who would, I think would beat someone like O'Reilly back into this position, and and then you're pulling teams apart there, creating spaces if they're trying to follow the runner. so on and so forth, and Mateta, etc., etc., etc.
Also, not trying to dig out this player, but Gundogan's not been half the player he used to be since he's come back to Man City either.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think as well, and also, to be honest, in that vein, with all the other players, I genuinely feel like when they're playing out in these areas, I feel like they've been really sloppy, actually, especially in the games that I've seen as well. If you catch it, if you're winning in this area, like City commit players forward. So if you're winning it in this area because of a bad pass, again, you've got that transition there. You got runners of the ball, etc., etc. And you know what? Like there really isn't too much to it. But also as well, let's say you do win it there. I mean, where are the space? Let's say Will Hughes has won the ball over here, right? Off Foden, let's say. Where is the space to immediately hit?
I mean, down that, or to be fair, down both sides, really.
Yeah, exactly. Because of the way their rest defense is set up, because you've got the 3 / it might be like a 2 or whatever. You've got all this space for someone to run into. So I don't know, maybe on this side, you could say maybe it's Eze, and then, he cuts inside and maybe that makes a bit of space for Tyron Mitchell. He's going to get a nosebleed when he gets there. The preferential side really is maybe this. And to be honest, our right-hand side, I think, would be so much more geared up to this side. I wonder even if maybe Pep changes it up a little bit. Maybe he doesn't play an O'Reilly. Maybe he does play Gvardiol there and does change up the personnel a little bit, perhaps. And maybe he does have a Doku there who then holds wide whilst, I don't know, Kovacic pushes up a bit higher, and then but then also they don't have a lot of defenders at the moment. So, that's maybe not something that they would do. But that's honestly, there's really not a lot to it. When you do see them in the low block, generally what you'll see is that you'll see the 4. And again, remember, Nunez is not a defender. What you will see is Bernardo Silva will often track a winger. So in effect, it kind of becomes like a 5, like a 5-2-3 in a way, sort of like this. If Bernardo Silva's tracking a winger over here. But then you're probably asking, okay, well, that's great. City, as we know it, they like to commit players forward, blah. But one thing, and this is why I wanted to confirm with JC before I said it and didn't make myself look like an idiot. But I don't think they actually do commit that many players forward anymore. At least in the chances that I've seen, in the highlights I've seen, like we were saying earlier, they're a lot more direct. So if they're a lot more direct, that means that they've got more players back. So like, let's say you got these players over here and they're trying to pass it through. And I don't know, they're trying to transition quickly and our players are like slightly out of kilter and whatever. And it's a bit more, something like that perhaps. Well, obviously, if they're only committing 4 players forward, let's say Will Hughes does win the ball there, well, immediately you can already see that their defense is a lot better equipped. Okay, yeah, you do get the out ball to Munoz or Mitchell, but let's say you do get there, at this point you've got a
2v3.
A 2v, yeah, exactly, a 2v3 rather than say, I don't know, a 2v1 or whatever it was before. So I think that's also another reason why they have kind of played a bit more direct, just because just to also help their defense in a way. But let's say that they do kind of have a little bit pegged in. There was one little thing that I did kind of notice that I think would be useful is a way to play out. So let's say they do press us over here. Mitchell's got the ball here. There was, because of the way the fullbacks defend, for me, it really seemed like, let's do this properly. Whoops, sorry, didn't mean to do that. So because of the way the fullbacks step out, for me, I think there is a way to exploit this without generating, say, like a transition. So let's say you got the ball here. I do just think that it seemed like if you played if you just played a diagonal ball into let's say, if you played a diagonal ball into the double pivot, it seemed like if you just managed to get space over here, by the time this player gets over and they move out, I know I said it earlier, but you can do a 1-2, and you can do that even when they're pressing you, not just in a transition. And again, then you've got the same. They've got the same problem again there, where you do have this you have this element here. But honestly, that's all I've got to say, really. Because let's be honest, we're not going to see City in a low block very often. So it's very much going to be a game of, hitting them on the counter and just ensuring that we are maybe generating overloads in the right areas, and recognizing where, if Pep does change it up, recognizing that he has changed it up, and seeing how he can maybe pull those players out of position. And because ultimately, if we get Sarr on the ball, facing their goal, running at their goal, whilst their defense is exposed like it has been this season, I think that's going to be a squeaky bum time for them. So.
And I think one more thing is that if we just look back at our previous TACT-EAGLEs, what we have done against Manchester City, and it was a thing of just dribbling at their defence 1v1.
Yes.
And they were pretty all over the place. And that was when we had, I think Michael just came back, didn't he? And he scored the penalty to make it 2-2, I believe.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that whole game, Mateta just dribbling at Diaz caused him so many problems.
Yeah.
So if you've got Ebbs, Sarr, Mateta all dribbling at him at their back line, then we can create a lot more chances.
Yeah. And I think as well, I think the way our front three is, I think it gives an interesting dynamic of lopsidedness as well. Because on the left-hand side, you've got Eze, who very much will want to cut in and then have a shot, and then that naturally gives a lot of space to an overlap for Mitchell. Whereas Sarr is very much more like, I guess,
traditional.
Exactly. He's more right. He's right-footed, so he'll want to go down the line and then perhaps put a cross in, and then Munoz is just there to kind of support or underlap. And actually, now you said about those shot creating, the what's it called? Just want to check
what the dribbles.
Yeah. Oh, it's not as high as I thought, to be fair. But yeah. But that's really not what I'd say. And then it's just
Well, Anna will say he's got 2 questions.
So
if you put those questions in the chat, we can come back to those. Anna was saying, I'm exposing his lack of Bundesliga knowledge. There's a reason why it's called the Bundesliga. We pay attention. Jeez. The dog, big up. 40 minutes late, my fault.
To be fair,
you can come back and watch it.
To be fair, dog. JC was very accommodating, because originally it would have been at 7:30, but my college was messed me about a little bit. Oh, and also that's a good. I don't know if it changes for you, but we're an hour ahead now, so I don't know if that makes a difference for you or not. But
I don't know. The Dwight York effect. I like this one. DDD.
DDD. Triple D.
Jeez.
Oh no, maybe not. Maybe not.
Did you see Wharton apparently had an argument with Glasner? I couldn't tell if it was true. I saw the video. I don't think it was an argument. I think it was more Glasner's trying to coach him, and because it's an open session, you have to shout to communicate with your players.
Oh, right. Is it just on
an argument? I think it's more of saying what he wants, and he's just being very enthusiastic with telling Adam Wharton what he wants and what he doesn't want. I don't think he's telling him off. I think that Glasner's smart enough to think that if Adam Wharton's doing something that he shouldn't be doing in open training, he would have sent him down the tunnel. He would have done it out of the sight of the public. So I don't think that's
yeah.
got anything to do with him being told off. I think he's just coaching him in an enthusiastic manner.
Yeah, and to be honest as well, like, I mean, I've played football to an extremely low level, but even then, like people have
People get excited from there.
That's just the way it is. Like people just get, that's just part and parcel of just
Oh
entertaining.
yeah, I've played and I've heard Wallahi's flying around like there's no one. So like, you know what I mean, though, innit? Wallahi, I didn't touch you. Wallahi, you didn't. And you think, oh, this is just long.
No, I know exactly what you mean.
Australian Rio Ferdinand Melt has urged United to sign Wharton, forgetting that United can't afford him. All right, so we've got those two questions. Would you be surprised if Kamada retained his position, or you reckon Hughes is nailed on to get it?
You know what? To be honest,
I wouldn't mind Kamada in a game like this. They're not very physical, are they?
yeah, that's what I was going to say.
He did have a good game against Brighton, who are also not very physical.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I still need to see. That was another thing. That's why I was so annoyed that I had to work today because I was gonna rewatch the.
He wanted a day off.
Basically, yeah. The full. I really wanted to rewatch the full 90, but Kamada. I agree. I think a less physical team like City, you could, you wouldn't be against it if he plays like he did against Brighton.
Mm-hmm. Next question: will Mateta be raring to go after that goal? Feel like he got mentality rocked by the injury, but turned a corner with that goal. I think the only thing I could say about the injury, let's say, I don't think his ability with his feet has changed whatsoever. I do think he is still a little bit more hesitant to go for chances with his head. I don't know whether you agree with that, Dan. I think whenever there's been a header or something to do with him touching the ball with his head, he's been a little bit more hesitant than he used to before the injury. But to be fair, that's natural. If someone booted me in the head, I ain't going up for a header for months. Granted, he's a professional. I'm not, so that's also an argument. But I reckon it'll come back in time. To be fair.
You could see it, and also like if it's still healing as well, like maybe just be a little bit more cautious. Just I don't know because
and he probably can't like how it's like a cut sort of like on his neck kind of. So when he goes up, he probably can't get the full range of motion to generate power with his head as well. So maybe that might be another reason.
Yeah, possibly. Also, as well, like because I know he was a bit off. But then I think for whatever reason, I think we always just seem to come back from international breaks just a bit jaded anyway. To be honest, not just us as well. A lot of other teams are like that, like just come back a bit jaded from the international break. And obviously, if he's been recovering that, he's not been doing training as well. So I reckon that's probably also.
To be fair, he did look very leggy at 60 as well, didn't he? Whereas no would go through to 80.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously, like Gloucester's not, I guess, helped the situation because obviously we had 3 games in a week. So,
I mean that's quite an interesting question to ask you, Dan. So that's sort of stemming off of Animal's question. Because Mateta can't last a full 90. Would you expect us late on into the game to go Sarr up top and then bring on someone like França to replace him out wide?
I think it's a shame because França won't have Kyle Walker on the pitch to absolutely rinse again, will he? To
be fair, he rinsed Walker. He could take the you-know-what out of Nunes if he wanted to.
Yeah, he did, yeah. I think because obviously Sarr's played up front before, hasn't he? I mean, technically speaking, França has on occasion play up front for Flamengo, but he's definitely not a focal point. So I don't know. It's difficult because you'd want someone who's a bit more of a focal point. I think that's the kind of striker that Glasgow would want. But I can't really think who would really provide that. I mean, Sarr would be I guess, the obvious third choice, but I don't know. I really don't know who else you'd even consider putting there. Really,
I reckon that when Mateta gets tired, you put Sar up top, and then you probably put França on the right attacking mid, and then keep Eze on the left one. That's what I would do, just to make
yeah.
not to
I
make
think.
changes.
I guess as well in this particular game against a team who are so weak defending or potentially weak defending transitions, I guess I'm gonna contradict myself here and say, like, maybe you don't need a focal point kind of striker in this game. Maybe you just need someone like Eze who will come short, and then someone like Sarr who's willing to run, and then maybe like a França who is maybe also willing to come short, just to bring those players in a bit and then try and find some space behind.
Definitely. Chairman says Camavinga's been sent off.
Mate, they're having a mare. Let's have a look on FOTMOB.
Having a bit of a stinky one. Animal says, yeah, he's not been as physically dominant as he has been. Big Up Mary says he'll be protecting his scar tissue. Animal says, so should we see an appearance from Esse or França? Most likely França, but it'll still be nice to see Esse get an opportunity, because França got an opportunity from Roy, if I remember correctly. Was it Roy?
Yes, it was. I was at that game actually.
I think it was. I think França got an opportunity in that game where he killed Walker.
Yeah,
and
it
I'm
was.
sure. I'm almost positive actually that Ozo played pretty much the full 90 as well.
I feel like he did, yeah.
Because I think someone got injured quite early on.
Because it was 2-2, wasn't it?
Yeah. I want to say like Decore got injured or something like that. Final comment. Animal said basically what I asked you about when we take off Mateta. He basically said I asked a question as he was mid-typing it.
Yeah, France played. Ozo came on off the bench, but Joel Ward, but it doesn't say when he came on this. Anyway, but yeah. Joel Ward came off in the 34th minute, yeah, for David Ozo. So David Ozo played nearly the whole game.
Yeah.
I guess he started in midfield. Oh my God.
Oh, wasn't it? What, for us?
Yeah.
Not for them?
For us. This is still under Roy as well. This must have been under Roy because it's December 23. Is that right?
Oh man, I don't know.
Gyro.
Gyro
and Chris Richards, apparently.
Oh, that is trenches.
And we drew 2-2.
Was Klein in that team? I think he was, wasn't he? Or did he come on later?
Oh, sorry, I've just deleted it. Yeah, I think he was. I'm pretty sure he was. Klein was right wing back.
Trenches. Absolute trenches. Dan, last thing of the day before we wrap up. Score prediction time. And you know what happens with score predictions? The host throws themselves under the bus. I think that because we've had such a good record up there in Manchester in general last few years, we do play well against them. I do back us to get a point up there in my heart, but in my head, everything's off to me. I'm going to say 2-1 City because they've been rubbish and I feel like they need something to bounce back with. And unfortunately, I think Charity Professional Football Club is here to hand you those 3 points.
Yeah, I think I feel like for me, it really depends who plays in defence. I think if we were to assume that Lacroix and Chris Richards were available, I'm going to go for another 2-2 draw. But if we don't, then I think it could be like more like 3-1, to be honest.
Yeah, I went 2-1. I'm still so uncertain on what our team's going to be.
Yeah.
I reckon if we had our full 11, Mark wasn't suspended, we could almost guarantee that Lacroix and Richards were there, or maybe even not Richards, even if Lerma was playing again. I would probably back us to a draw, but I think because of just an unknown, I'm going to say 2-1 to Man City.
Yeah. To be fair as well, like I think I'm quite happy. I'm happy for them guys. If there was a game that I would like Nketiah and Gay to definitely miss this season,
Is this one?
it's probably this one, to be honest. I'd rather keep him for who are we playing? Who are we playing week after? I can't remember now.
Let me.
I feel like that is an important game, but for life, I can't remember.
It is Newcastle away.
Yeah,
damn! We got another 3-game week again. So City on the Saturday, Newcastle on the Wednesday, Bournemouth at home on a Saturday again.
Okay. Yeah, see, that Bournemouth game, I think, is a lot more important than the City game, to be honest.
100%. Animal is saying 2-4 to Palace. He's saying Mateta 2, Eze and Sarr with a Marmouche double. Belter of a game, it would be, but I don't think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Dan, is there anything else that you want to chat about before we round out?
No, I think that's everything.
Cool. Guys, thank you very, very much for watching. Please like, share, subscribe. If you're liking TACT-EAGLE, hit the like. Thanks for watching, and as always, up the Palace.
Up the Palace.
Eagles.
He goes.